The phone rings once, twice, and then stops. A moment later it rings again, longer this time, insistent, like someone on the other end already knows you're there, already knows you'll answer. "Bless you," he says. "I've been praying for someone like you." He speaks your name as if he's known it for years. He speaks of suffering, of families in crisis, of a mission that sounds too sacred to question. But something else stirs beneath the surface. A tremor, a shadow. Because sometimes the most dangerous predators don't break down your door. They walk through your faith. They borrow the language of hope. They sound like the very people you were taught to trust. Today we follow the story of one true believer and the false shepherd who tried to lead her astray. This is Fraud in a Moment, and the truth starts now. The false shepherd. The call came just after dark when the house was quiet and the shadows stretched long across the living room carpet. Margaret, a lifelong church volunteer, a woman whose faith had carried her through loss, illness, and the slow passing of time, answered the phone the way she always did, with warmth, with trust, with the belief that people who spoke of God must surely be good. The voice on the other end was soft, reverent, characteristic of someone who had spent years in the gentle cadence of Sunday mornings and sanctuary light. "Bless you, sister," he began. "We're raising emergency funds for families in crisis, families who need the Lord's mercy, and your help." His tone trembled just long enough to sound sincere. He spoke of suffering, of service, of a mission that felt righteous. He pulled on her heartstrings with practiced ease, weaving scripture into every sentence. And Margaret, the true believer, felt the familiar tug of compassion. But this man was no pastor. He was no servant of any church. He was a predator, a member of a criminal organization that specializes in preying on good people who simply want to make a difference. Scammers who pull on your heartstrings and use religion to guilt you into donating. Not clergy, not even religious. As he spoke, he shifted from gentle to urgent. "There isn't much time," he said. "We need gift cards tonight. It's the fastest way to get aid to these poor souls." Gift cards. Always gift cards. Gift cards is always a sign of fraud. Margaret hesitated. Just a moment, just long enough for him to sense it. And that's when he pressed harder. He layered on guilt, implying that real believers step up when called. He suggested that God himself would bless her generosity. He urged her to stay on the line, because the longer she stayed, the better chance he had to separate her from her money. These criminals are very slick. Margaret's pulse quickened. Something felt off. Her pastor never asked for money this way. Her church never demanded urgency, and no one had ever asked her for gift cards. She took a breath, a long one, and then she remembered a simple line she'd once heard. "Tell them you gave at the office and hang up." So she did. The false shepherd's voice sputtered in protest, but it was too late. The line went dead. The spell broke. Margaret sat back in her chair, shaken but safe, spared from a scam that has fooled countless others. She had nearly fallen for a wolf in a clerical collar, a criminal cloaked in scripture, but in the end, she trusted her instincts, and sometimes that's all it takes to stop a scammer in their tracks. What did we learn from this story? 1. A so-called holy voice can be a predator in disguise. Scammers deliberately mimic clergy using religious language and emotional appeals to create instant trust and lower defenses. 2. Urgency is the enemy of good judgment. The fraudster's pressure, "there isn't much time," is your warning that scammers use urgency to keep victims on the phone. 3. Gift cards, universal red flag. Giving gift cards is always a sign of fraud. No legitimate clergy or charity asks for donations this way. 4. Instincts are a lifeline. Trust them. Margaret's hesitation and eventual decision to hang up are timeless. Tell them you gave at the office and hang up. When something feels off, it usually is. And 5. Faith should never be a gateway for exploitation. This story underscores a painful truth. Scammers target people precisely because they are compassionate and generous. And that's where we leave Margaret tonight, sitting in the quiet glow of her living room lamp, her faith intact, her wallet protected, and her instincts sharper than ever. Because in the end, this wasn't just a phone call. It was a test of trust, of intuition, of the courage to say no, even when the voice on the line wraps itself in scripture and sanctimony. Scammers don't always come dressed as villains. Sometimes they come disguised as shepherds. Sometimes they speak in the language of faith, compassion, and urgency. But every listener should remember this. A true calling never demands gift cards. A real pastor never pressures you to stay on the line, and your generosity should never be weaponized against you. So as you step back into your day or evening, carry these lessons with you. Trust your instincts. Slow down when someone else wants you to rush. And when a stranger claims to speak for God, verify before you give. This has been Fraud in a Moment, where we shine a light on the shadows and give you the tools to walk safely through them. Until next time, stay aware, stay empowered, and remember, your faith is your sword. Don't let anyone turn it into something untoward.